Welcome to Unleash the Awesome with Dave Gambrill. All of us have unique skills, talents, and abilities that aren't being used to their full potential. Our mission is to share the people, tools, apps, and other resources that will help you unleash your awesome on the world.
Yo, what's up? It's Dave. Welcome to another episode of Unleash the Awesome. And today I'm thrilled to bring to you a conversation with my friend Stu McLaren as we talk about the power of memberships and the model of memberships for business. If you don't know Stu, he's been working intimately with tens of thousands of authors, speakers, coaches, consultants, and business owners to transform what they know, love, and do into recurring revenue. That's the key, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention to that one. Recurring revenue. By launching, growing, and scaling 6, 7, and 8-figure membership businesses. Subscriptions are the business model of the future, and there is nobody better positioned to show you how to do it successfully than Stu. How do I know? Because I've been friends with Stu for a really long time. I've been following his guidance. I've been implementing the stuff that he talks about in my own business, and I've seen results for me and many of the people that I coach and train and many of the people that are in my digital marketing mentorship group. So I know what he talks about works. Stu's the former co-founder of the world's leading membership platform for WordPress, Wishlist Member, creator of a signature membership program, formerly the Tribe Experience, and now co-founder of Searchie. Stu has a unique behind-the-scenes perspective of what works in membership and subscription markets, and he's been doing it in virtually every market you can think of, and you'll hear that in our conversation. I asked him specifically to give me some kind of off-the-wall examples. But from photography and calligraphy to dog training, fitness, music, health, meal plans, teacher plans, nonprofit, personal development, business development, and so many more. And through it all, Stu has discovered the subtle nuances that make a big difference in the success of the sites that thrive year over year versus those that struggle and stall. So, without further delay, let's bring you my conversation with Stu. And you'll hear that we mention a workshop that's coming up. It starts April 20th. So if you happen to be listening to this when it came out in April of 2023, on April 20th, he has a workshop where he's going to teach a lot of this stuff to you for free. I'll make sure the link is available for you in the show notes, but it's gambrill.com/2023stu, 2023STU. If you go there, you can register right now for the workshop. If I were you, I would not miss it. I've been through this thing probably 7 or 8 times now, and I will go through it again because Stu is always staying up to date on what's new, what the trends are, what's working, what's not working. And if you want to put monthly recurring revenue, annual recurring revenue, subscription model into your life and business, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you really want to learn from Stu. So again, the link will be in the show notes for you. So without delay, let's jump to my conversation with my buddy, Stu McLaren. Hey, Stu, it's so great to see you again. Thank you for joining us. And let's just jump right into this because I know the audience is excited to learn from you since you are the membership guru. So can you help us understand what is a membership or subscription and why is it such a powerful tool for businesses to be leveraging?
Well, Dave, first off, thanks for having me. You look amazing. Let's just give a shout out where a shout out needs to go. Okay, memberships. Well, here's the reality. We are likely, as consumers and customers, belonging to a whole bunch of memberships and subscriptions, whether we realize it or not. And the truth of the matter is that so many big businesses have been shifting to a membership or subscription model. And the reason being is because it provides stability and predictability that wasn't there otherwise. So let's just take a couple examples. Like Adobe used to sell software in a box. You'd go to the store, you'd buy that software one time, and then they would hope that, some years down the road, you'd come back and you'd buy from them again. Well, they shifted. And now they sell their software on subscription, where meaning you pay a monthly fee and you have ongoing access to that software. Now that sounds like the norm because we're so used to it. Right now we pay for things like Netflix and Spotify on a monthly subscription basis. We pay for all kinds of things on a monthly subscription basis. And the reason businesses are making that shift is because instead of starting the month at 0, you actually start the month with the momentum that you had from the previous month. And so it's like compound interest. It just continues to grow and grow and grow. But here's what this does as a business owner. is it changes the way in which we think about our business. Because now, instead of hoping that customers are going to come back and buy from us again, we know with a certain level of certainty that there's going to be a certain number of customers at the beginning of every month that are going to pay us no matter what. And that changes our thinking. It changes the way we think about planning. It changes the way we think about hiring. It changes the way we think about marketing and so many more. So essentially, at the end of the day, a membership or subscription is when customers are paying you each and every month to have access to either a product that you're sending them on a regular basis, a service that you're providing on a regular basis, perhaps a members area where you're providing knowledge or helping them develop a skill set on a regular basis. But it's where customers are paying you every month to have access to something that you're providing.
What a powerful tool and what a great example. Thank you for sharing that. And I don't think people, maybe if they've never been on the revenue roller coaster, or they've never had a sales job, they can't fully appreciate what it's like with that end of the month sprint, trying to make all that revenue. And then you hit day one of the month and you're like, okay, we have to start over, right? But a subscription like eliminates all of that. So you go, okay, we could add more customers if we want, but we already have this customer base that's coming back, which is so amazing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of convenience elements to it too. Like, I just know as a customer, like, here's a silly little example, but when my wife and I moved our family to a new home, we were living in a very wooded area. And I'll never forget, we're about a week into the home, and my wife and I are laying in bed, and all of a sudden we hear like, and she says, "Stu, what is that?" I was like, "I don't know." And then we hear it again. She's like, oh my gosh, it's mice. She's like, "Stu, I can't live in this home if there's mice." And I was like, "Babes, we literally just moved in." I'm like, "We can't just sell the house because of..." So we called an exterminator, and the guy comes and he's like, "Well, yeah, you definitely got a mice problem." He's like, "You live in an area where it's just like, super attractive for these kind of creatures." He's like, "And we'll take care of it. We'll get rid of it for you." He's like, "But would you like me to take care of it on a regular basis so that you never have to worry about these mice again?" And we're like, "Well, yes, of course we would." He's like, "Okay." Well, then he set us up on a subscription plan. And that eliminated the headache for us. And we never had to worry about a mice problem again. And so we think about it from a business owner's perspective. There's huge advantages from the stability and the predictability, the momentum going from one month into the next. But there's a lot of advantages for customers too, especially when it comes to convenience and being able to consistently get a service, a product, or access that you want access to without having to worry about it from that day forward. So there's a lot of advantages both ways for the business owner, but also for the customer.
Cool. What a great example. And yes, I live in an area where mice are a problem too. And I'm glad I have that subscription. We don't have to worry about it. That's cool. So I can hear some people in my audience right now going, "Okay, Stu, that's great. Like, I'm not an exterminator, or I'm not Netflix or whatever. Like, how does this apply to me?" And I know there are examples of things that would seem like easy for subscriptions, like fitness training or things like that. But I know you've literally worked with thousands of people, and you probably have some good examples of some common things that people could convert to a membership, but you also probably have some very unique things. So do you have any of those you want to share with us today?
Well, I think probably the easiest low-hanging fruit for everybody watching and listening is, over the years, we've accumulated different skill sets. We've accumulated different experiences. We've learned a lot of things, whether we realize it or not, that is very useful to somebody else who may be at the very beginning stages. And we often discredit all that we've learned. It's like that, the curse of knowledge. We're like, "Oh, well, everybody knows how to do this, right?" No. Everybody does not know how to do that. And this could be from things like hanging a TV up on the wall to, growing plants to playing a guitar. Like, there's all these skills that we acquire over the years, but we don't realize how valuable they are, especially to somebody who may be in the beginning stages of their journey. So what I like to encourage people to think about is to just take inventory. Take inventory of like all the things that you've done over your lifetime, all the skill sets you've acquired, all the experiences that you've had. And this could be even things like traveling to different types of countries. Like, I think of Noella as an example. She has a membership site where she creates travel plans for customers in her demographic. And these are travel plans based on experiences and trips that she has been on, right? And it saves people a ton of time. They don't have to worry about like where to go, what to see, or who to contact when they get to these countries. It's all mapped out and laid out for them. Or I think about Julie Roy as an example. She's in a very unique market. So Dave, she helps alpaca farmers, and not just like all alpaca farmers, but alpaca farmers that have small and mid-sized farms. And you would think like, well, how did she get into helping other alpaca farmers? Well, she had an alpaca farm herself, and she had success with that alpaca farm. And so she's learned over the years how to successfully grow an alpaca farm. And so she's now passing that knowledge down to a very, tiny market. But you can imagine if you're an alpaca farmer and you've just gotten into it, to be able to have access to Julie, who's had years of experience in growing an alpaca farm, that's tremendously valuable. Like, she's going to be able to shave a ton of time off your learning curve, compress time, if you will. And so these are really valuable. Like, another off the wall example is I love the example of, oh goodness me, what's her name? It'll come to me. But she has a membership site where she's teaching people how, Holly, that's her name, Holly. She has a membership site where she's teaching people how to make balloon animals. And you might be thinking to yourself, balloon animals? Like, seriously? Like, people pay on a monthly basis? Yes, she's got thousands of members. Her membership's called the Twisterhood. And, she was a mom at home with her young kids while her husband, he's in the military, so he's away a lot. So she didn't have a lot of flexibility to go out and get another job. She was at home caring for her kids. But this was something that she had always had a passion for. And so she created a membership around it. So when we think about all of the skills and experiences that we've acquired over the years, what I want you to realize is that there are people in this world who are at the very beginning stages of wanting to learn the exact thing that you've learned over time. And it can be tremendously valuable when you compress time for them. Take the things that you have taken decades to learn, compress it, and provide it to people so they can learn it in days and weeks and months, etc. So when we are thinking about where can we start with a membership, I love knowledge-based memberships because they're the easiest ones for each of us to be able to begin getting started with. And you don't need an audience of tens of thousands or thousands. You just need a couple hundred people. And then when you do a founding member launch, as an example, my goodness, like 10 members, 20 members paying you, whether it's $20 a month, $30 a month, that starts to add up pretty quickly and starts to cover, bills that you may be incurring on a regular basis, and it grows momentum from there. So lots of opportunity just taking our skill sets and delivering that knowledge to others. And I got tons of examples if you want more.
That's good for now. Maybe we'll circle back to some, but I wanted to highlight two things. One, you just said it builds momentum, which is good, but I think what it also does is it builds belief, because a lot of people that are doing this stuff, if they've never sold anything online, right, they get that first dollar, or they get that first 10 people that they're serving, right? That becomes the foundation for it could be a huge enterprise if they want it to be, right? But they just have to get that start. And then the other thing you said that I want to make sure everybody heard, because I teach this slightly differently, but it's the same thing, this idea about the curse of knowledge. And I will say to people, if you're saying to yourself, like, God, that's so dumb, doesn't everybody know that? That's probably exactly the thing you should be thinking about teaching, because no, not everybody knows that. Like, you have that specific thing that you could share with the world. And even though it seems so simple to you, it could be life-changing to somebody else. So if you don't put it out there and share it, you are missing a huge opportunity to serve a lot of people and obviously make a lot of money in the process.
100%. And I think that, it's not only like the opportunity, as a business owner to be able to start a business around the things that we know, but it's the opportunity to be able to pass down that knowledge. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a tremendous value there. Like, I think as an example, like, I'm looking around our room, but my team is just outside this room here. And there are a lot of young, vibrant, team members who are in their early 20s, mid 30s, in that age bracket. And I think to myself, like, I was so grateful because when I was their age, I had a mentor who taught me how to invest. and how to invest, particularly in real estate. And one of the biggest lessons he taught me in those early days was, Stu, when you buy your first home, never sell it. He's like, because when you're ready to move on, you can use that and rent it and so forth. Now, that one piece of knowledge has served my wife and I so incredibly well, because we bought our first home and we paid it off. And then when we were ready to move, we didn't sell it. We, pulled the equity out and we invested in another property, and we kept doing that. And it's grown our portfolio. And I'm so grateful, because I would never have done that, ever have done that, had my mentor not taken the time to share with me some of those few super valuable investing lessons. Now, the crazy part about this is that after working for my mentor and coming back and learning that, I was sharing it with my parents, who at the time were about my age right now, which is the irony of it all. And they were not in a position financially where they would have been able to retire anytime soon. Now, I passed that knowledge on to them. They themselves went and they invested in a couple of real estate properties, and now they've acquired enough, rental income to pay for those buildings, and they're still, generating profits. And now they're able to retire. So I think about that knowledge that my mentor had, passing it down not only to me, and then me being able to also pass it on to my parents. That's the ripple effect that we can have with what we know. My mentor didn't have to do that. He didn't have to pass down that knowledge, but he did. And look at the positive impact that he's had as a result of that. So yes, passing down our knowledge is an incredible business model inside of a membership site. And I highly recommend everybody do it. But there's also this incredible, positive ripple effect that we can all have in just being able to pass down what we know to others as well.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And to that investor mentor of yours, that was such a simple idea, right? That's something they probably haven't even thought about. They're just like, yeah, whatever. That's of course what you do, right? But they mentioned it to you and you're like, oh my gosh, right? And it has fundamentally changed your life, which is amazing.
Totally. Yeah. It was a life changer.
Yeah. So I'm sure as people are hearing this, they're like, okay, Stu, this sounds exciting. I want to get started, but like, how do I do it? And the good news for everybody is that you have a workshop coming up where you're going to teach some of the fundamentals. You're going to teach people how to avoid a bunch of the mistakes. So why don't you share a little bit about that, and I'll make sure that I have a link for them wherever they happen to be watching this.
Yeah, for sure. So every year we host a live workshop. And when I say live, I mean, we are live. Like, you'll be in the chat. I'll be calling out names like, Dave, you've been on it live. It's so much fun. There's a ton of energy there. And here's what people can expect. If you're thinking like, okay, I like the idea of a membership site, but I don't know how that might work for me. Like, I don't know how I would get started with that. This is why you want to come to the free workshop, because not only will you come away with clarity around like what type of membership site would be a good fit for you, but you'll have clarity around how to position that to be super attractive to your market. You'll also have clarity about how to get started in the most simple, low stress way. In fact, Dave, here's the thing. During this free workshop, there will be people who will launch their membership site for the very first time. I hope it's people who are listening right here, right now.
There have been people in my community that have done that in years past. One of them needed a new car, and she launched a membership and made enough money to get a down payment on a new car within a couple of days of your workshop.
That is amazing. And this is why I get so fired up and excited about this workshop, because there's so much momentum when you go through an experience like we're about to with this free workshop as a group, because you get swept up in the positive momentum of others like taking action and putting what they're learning into practice. And that's exactly why I recommend everybody come and join us for this free workshop. And the fun part about it is that you can not only get the clarity of knowing what type of membership site, what to provide in the membership site and how to launch it, but you'll get swept up in that momentum that by the end of the free workshop, you'll actually have it launched. And imagine how incredible that will feel to be able to start the momentum of generating recurring revenue in your business with an idea that was maybe fuzzy coming in. Now it's crystal clear and now it's launched. OMG. That's why people got to come and join us for the free workshop. It's coming up and it all starts on April 20th.
Yeah, and I'll make sure wherever you happen to be catching this, it'll be in the show notes for you. The link will be right there or in the description, wherever. And seriously, you need to check this out. The difference between any other course or workshop or webinar that you've been to. And what Stu does is that Stu leaves nobody behind. He will sometimes sit there and answer questions for hours on end. And sometimes people are like, how long is this thing going to be? I'm like, well, Stu will teach for, I don't know, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, depending on the day. I said, but it could go 3 hours because Stu will stick around and answer just about every question that's out there. And you make sure that people actually implement. And that's been the cool thing in my community. I've seen people get into it, get started. And like I said, this one woman a couple of years ago got it going right away. And it was amazing because there's people in my community that weren't paying much attention to what you're doing at the time. And all of a sudden they're like, whoa, what's going on? I want to get in on this. So I want to make sure everybody that's watching and listening, you don't get in that situation this year. Make sure you click the link in the show notes so you can join Stu and his team, because they do some really amazing things. And they're so good at including you in what's going on. They're so good at celebrating wins. They're so good at like saying, hey, look, we saw somebody in the community just from the last thing move from this to that. And I think it really helps with the belief and the accountability. And so, Stu, I really love what you and your community do. And this is going to be an amazing workshop.
Well, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate it too, buddy. It's, the thing that I have grown to appreciate so much about this workshop is the momentum that it creates. Like, as you said, there's a lot of shifting that's happening during this workshop in a really positive way, meaning people who maybe not realizing all of the incredible wealth that they have accumulated over the years with the knowledge that they have, in their experiences and their skill sets and so forth, realizing like, oh my gosh, this is super valuable. Like, there are a lot of people around the world who would love to learn how to do what I have done. And to then go from this idea of it's possible to then being able to put it in practice and practically begin generating recurring revenue, it can be a complete life changer, because in that moment, you realize like, not only is it possible, but it's possible for me right now. And that's the belief that will carry you forward in life and in business and so forth to tremendous levels of success. And so for me, the real rewards of this are, yes, not only being able to teach people about the incredible benefits of having a membership and how to get started with it and how to launch, but to see the shift and transformation in people in the belief that they have in themselves, realizing like that future that they have always dreamed about, it's within reach. And it's possible when you just get started and take action. And so for me, this whole experience is amazing because it creates positive momentum for people. And I can't wait to begin sharing it. It all happens on April 20th.
Yeah. And I'll make sure the link is obvious wherever you happen to be catching this. And as Stu always says, you don't have to get it right. You just have to get it started. And Stu will definitely show you how to do that. So Stu McLaren, thank you so much for joining us today. And everybody, make sure you click that link and join us for that workshop. I will be there. I've been through a bunch of them myself, but I always learn something new from Stu. So I'll be there taking plenty of notes. So Stu, thanks again. I appreciate you, man.
You're awesome, Dave. Thanks, buddy.
You got it.
Thanks for listening to Unleash the Awesome. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And please share us on your favorite social media platforms using #UnleashAwesome.